Han checked the medical supplies for the third time that night. The quiet hum of the research outpost's systems kept him company as he counted bandages and checked expiration dates. Located on the edge of human space, Supply Station 7 rarely saw any action. That was about to change. The first warning came as a deep rumble that shook his coffee cup. Han looked up from his inventory list, dark eyes narrowing at the ceiling camera's feed. Through the static-filled display, he saw it, a massive ship burning as it cut through the station's thin atmosphere. Medical Bay to Command, are you seeing this? Han pressed the comm button. His voice steadied despite his racing heart. Affirmative. Ryu's calm voice came through. All personnel, battle stations. This is not a drill. Han grabbed his emergency kit and ran to the observation deck. Ta was already there, his fingers flying over the communications panel. Getting some strange signals, he said without looking up. Definitely not human tech. The ship was closer now. Han could see its sleek, silver hull marked with strange symbols that seemed to shift and change in the light. It wasn't just burning, it was breaking apart. Multiple life signs detected, Dury announced from her science station. She pushed her glasses up, eyes fixed on the readings. Their energy signature matches Coalition tech. The Stellar Coalition. Han had only heard stories about them. A species so focused on efficiency that they had turned it into an art form. Some said they valued numbers over individual lives. He was about to learn how true those stories were. The ship crashed 3 kilometers from the station, carving a deep trench in the rocky ground. Within minutes, smaller vessels appeared in the sky. Coalition rescue ships, Han assumed. Through the high-powered scopes, they watched as survivors were quickly and methodically evacuated. But something wasn't right. They're leaving someone behind, Dury said, her voice tight with disbelief. She enhanced the image on the main screen. In the wreckage, a figure moved weakly, clearly alive. Yet the rescue ships were powering up to leave. Han grabbed the comm. Coalition vessels, you have a survivor still on site. Do you copy? The response came in perfect, mechanical universal standard. Resource optimization protocols indicate retrieval would exceed acceptable effort-to-value ratios. Unit is classified as inefficient for recovery. They were leaving their soldier to die because saving them wasn't efficient enough. The rescue ships vanished into the darkening sky, leaving nothing but silence and the settling dust of the crash. Han stared at the screen, watching the lone figure's vital signs flutter on Dury's monitors. They were growing weaker. We can't interfere, Ryu said, though his voice carried a note of regret. Coalition law is clear about non-intervention. We could cause a diplomatic incident. Han looked at his medical kit, then at the screen again. The vital signs were getting worse. In his mind, he heard the oath he'd taken years ago. First, do no harm, but wasn't refusing to help causing harm. He made his decision. Commander, Han said, already walking toward the airlock. You might want to note in your log that I'm directly disobeying orders. He started putting on his environmental suit, checking the seals with practiced ease. Han. Ta called after him. The atmosphere out there is barely breathable, and the temperature drops to -40 at night. Then I better hurry. Han sealed his helmet. Besides, what's the point of being human if we abandon our humanity when it matters most? The airlock cycled, and Han stepped out into the alien twilight. Behind him, he heard Dury's voice over the comm. I'm reading the survivors' vitals, sending them to your suit display now. Han started walking. He had no idea what kind of alien he would find, or if he could even help them. But he knew one thing. He was about to show the Coalition that efficiency wasn't everything. Sometimes, being human meant being inefficient for all the right reasons. The command center erupted into chaos after Han left. Commander Ryu paced back and forth, his boots making sharp sounds against the metal floor. Get him back here now, Ryu ordered, his voice tight with worry. That's a direct order. Ta looked up from his communications panel. Sir, Han turned off his command channel. He paused, then added quietly, but left his medical emergency frequency open. Dury stood up from her station, her face set with determination. "Commander, I need to speak freely." Ryu stopped pacing. "Go ahead. We're scientists. This could be our only chance to study coalition medical technology up close." She pulled up data on the main screen. "Look at these readings. Their biology is fascinating. We could learn so much. Or start a war," Ryu countered. He pointed at the screen showing Han's small figure moving across the rocky ground. "The coalition doesn't share technology. They don't accept help. And they definitely don't like humans interfering with their affairs. Maybe it's time they learned why they should," Dury said firmly. Outside, Han checked his suit's oxygen levels. The alien world's thin atmosphere glowed purple in the setting sun. His boots left clear tracks in the dusty ground, the first human footprints in this part of the planet. His suit radio crackled. "Han, please respond." Tay's voice came through. "Just let me know you're okay." "I'm okay," Han answered, breathing heavily as he climbed over a ridge. "How's our patient doing?" "Vital signs are getting weaker," Dury cut in. "But I'm picking up some interesting data. Their body temperature is much higher than ours, and their blood seems to be copper-based, not iron-based." "Good to know. Any other medical tips before I meet them?" "Just one," Dury said. "Their species processes pain differently than we do. They might not show signs of suffering, even if they're badly hurt." Han reached the top of the ridge and saw the crash site below. The ship had broken into 3 main pieces, with debris scattered everywhere. The emergency lights still blinked weakly, casting strange shadows. His suit sensors picked up the aliens' life signs. They were inside the largest piece of wreckage. "I see them," Han reported, going in for first contact. Back at the base, Ryu made his final decision. He sat down at his commander's station and began typing. "What are you doing, sir?" Tai asked nervously. "Writing my report," Ryu answered. "I'm noting that Medical Officer Han acted against orders and that I'm officially dispatching Science Officer Dury to assist him for research purposes." He looked up at Dury. "Well, what are you waiting for? Get your emergency kit." Dury smiled and rushed to get her equipment. "And Tai," Ryu continued, "you're now officially monitoring emergency channels only. If you happen to hear any coalition communications, I expect you to delay them appropriately." "Yes, sir," Ta grinned. "Technical difficulties can be very unpredictable out here." Ryu looked at the main screen one last time. "Let's show the coalition what humanity is really about, and hope we don't start an interstellar incident in the process." Outside, Han reached the wreckage. He took a deep breath, turned on his medical scanner, and stepped through the broken doorway. He was about to become the first human to treat a coalition soldier, whether they wanted his help or not. The universe was about to learn that sometimes the most efficient solution wasn't always the right one. Han's light beam cut through the darkness inside the crashed ship. The air was thick with smoke and the sharp smell of burned metal. His boots crunched on broken glass as he moved deeper into the wreckage. "Life signs are stronger now." Dury's voice came through his comm. "You're getting close." He found the coalition soldier in what looked like a medical bay. They were pinned under a fallen support beam, their silver uniform stained with dark blue liquid. Their blood, Han guessed. The alien's skin had a slight purple tint, and their 4-fingered hand clutched at a wound in their side. The soldiers' eyes opened, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle pattern. They focused on Han with surprising clarity. "I am not permitted to share technology," the alien said in perfect universal standard. Their voice was calm despite their injuries. "Please leave." Han knelt beside them, keeping his movements slow and careful. "I'm not here for technology. I'm a doctor. My name is Han. Medical assistance is unnecessary. My injuries exceed acceptable repair parameters." The alien's voice remained steady. "Recovery would be inefficient." Good thing I don't care about efficiency, Han said, pulling out his medical scanner. I care about helping people who are hurt. Now, can you tell me your name? The alien was quiet for a moment, as if confused by the question. I am Unit Erin, Combat Medical Support, Efficiency Rating 94.2. Nice to meet you, Erin. I'm going to scan you now, okay? Your actions are illogical, Erin said. Resources spent on my recovery cannot be justified. Han worked as he talked, checking vital signs and assessing injuries. You know what's illogical? Leaving someone behind when they could be saved. Now hold still. I need to check this wound. Dury arrived just then, carrying her research kit. She stopped in the doorway, eyes wide at the sight of the alien. Fascinating, she whispered. Less fascination, more help, Han called. I need to lift this beam off them. Together, they used a portable lift from Dury's kit to move the beam. Erin watched them work with those 3 curious eyes, their expression unreadable. Why do you expend such effort? Erin asked as Han cleaned their wounds. Your actions reduce the overall efficiency of your operation. Because that's what humans do, Han answered, applying a healing gel to the worst injury. We help people who need it, even if it's not efficient. Even enemies. Erin's middle eye blinked slowly. Are we enemies? Han asked, wrapping a bandage carefully around Erin's arm. Because right now, I just see someone who needs medical help. Dury took readings as they worked, her scanner humming softly. Their healing rate is remarkable, she reported. The gel is already showing effects. Erin tried to sit up, but Han gently pushed them back down. Stay still. Doctor's orders. I do not understand, Erin said. In the Coalition, a doctor's purpose is to maximize unit efficiency. You are different. Human doctors have a very old rule, Han explained, checking Erin's vital signs again. First, do no harm, and sometimes, doing nothing is the same as doing harm. For the first time, Erin's steady voice wavered slightly. Perhaps, there is much we do not understand about humans. Don't worry, Han smiled behind his helmet visor. You'll have plenty of time to learn. Now let's get you somewhere safer. Think you can manage a short trip. As they prepared to move Erin, Han couldn't help but wonder if this was how humanity would finally make its mark on the galaxy, not through war or trade, but through simple acts of compassion. The medical bay of Supply Station 7 had never held a Coalition patient before. Han and Dury worked quickly to set up the quarantine field as Erin lay on the examination table, their 3 eyes following every movement. Your medical technology is primitive, Erin observed, watching Han prepare traditional bandages. Maybe, Han replied, checking the healing gel's progress on Erin's wounds. But sometimes old methods work best. How's the pain? Pain is irrelevant to mission success. Han shook his head. Not here, it isn't. Dury, can you adjust the pain medication? Dury looked up from her readings. Their biology processes it differently. I'll need to modify the formula. She started working at her station, mixing compounds. Commander Ryu watched through the observation window, his face serious. How's our guest doing? Stable, Han reported. But I've never seen wounds quite like these. Their cellular structure is fascinating. Erin tried to sit up again. I must report to command. Failing to do so reduces operational efficiency by. Lie down, Han ordered firmly. Doctor's orders, remember. Tai rushed into the medical bay, his face excited. Coalition ships detected at the edge of our system. They're asking about their missing soldier. Ryu's expression darkened. Tell them we're experiencing communication difficulties. That should buy us some time. Time for what? Erin asked. Time to heal you properly, Han answered, applying a fresh bandage. Unless you want to go back at partial efficiency. Erin's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. Your logic is unusual. That's because it's not logic, Dury said, returning with the modified pain medication. It's compassion. As they worked, Han noticed something strange. The coalition uniform Erin wore was filled with tiny computers, all constantly measuring and calculating efficiency ratings. But they were all dark now, shut down. "Your efficiency monitors," Han said. "You could turn them back on if you wanted to." Erin was quiet for a moment. Perhaps efficiency is not the only measure of value. The next few hours were busy. Han and Dury worked together, combining human medical knowledge with Dury's analysis of coalition biology. They discovered that Erin's wounds healed differently than a human's would, forming complex geometric patterns in the tissue. "Look at this," Dury said excitedly, showing Han her scanner. "Their cells communicate with each other, coordinating the healing. I've never seen anything like it. And yet they abandon their injured," Han muttered, checking Erin's bandages again. "It was protocol," Erin said softly. "But no one has ever treated me as an individual before, only as a unit to be measured." Han smiled. "Well, get used to it. Because here, you're not just a unit. You're our patient." Ree watched all this from the observation window, his worry slowly changing to pride. Maybe this was exactly what the coalition needed, a reminder that there were things more important than efficiency. That night, as the station's lights dimmed for the sleep cycle, Han checked on Erin one last time. The alien was resting quietly, their wounds already showing remarkable improvement. On a nearby table, Erin's efficiency monitors remained dark. Sometimes, Han thought, the most efficient path wasn't the most human one. And maybe that's exactly what made it right. A week passed at Supply Station 7. Erin's wounds healed quickly, leaving geometric scars that shimmered in the light. But the biggest changes weren't physical. "You mean you do this for fun?" Erin asked, watching Han and Ty play cards during their break. "Not everything needs a purpose," Ty explained, dealing Erin a hand. "Sometimes we do things just because they make us happy." Erin picked up the cards carefully with their four-fingered hand. "Happiness is not measured in coalition efficiency ratings." "Maybe that's the problem," Han said, showing Erin how to hold the cards. "Some of the best things in life can't be measured." In the science lab, Dury made another discovery. She rushed to the medical bay, her tablet full of data. "Erin, your healing rate has improved by 40% compared to coalition averages. It seems individual care works better than standardized treatments." "That is." Erin paused, searching for the right word. "Interesting." The station's crew had grown used to their alien guest. Even Commander Ryu stopped by regularly, asking Erin questions about coalition culture and sharing stories about Earth. But their peaceful routine couldn't last forever. Ta burst into the medical bay during dinner. "Coalition ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They're demanding to speak with us." On the main screen, a coalition officer appeared. Their three eyes were cold and calculating. "Supply Station 7, you have exceeded acceptable response delay parameters. Our sensors detect Unit Erin in your facility. Return our asset immediately." Ryu stood tall. "Unit Erin is under our medical care. They're not ready for transport." "Medical care is irrelevant. Unit Erin's efficiency rating has dropped below acceptable levels. They must return for reprocessing." Han stepped forward. "Reprocessing? They're a person, not a machine." "Incorrect. They are a coalition resource and I wish to stay." Everyone turned to look at Erin, who had entered the command center. They stood straight, their silver uniform cleaned and repaired. "That is not permitted," the coalition officer stated. "I have learned something here," Erin said. "Efficiency is not everything. These humans have shown me that value cannot always be calculated. I am not just a unit. I am Erin." The coalition officer's eyes narrowed. "You are malfunctioning. Prepare for immediate retrieval." Han moved to stand beside Erin. "They're not malfunctioning. They're thinking for themselves. Maybe it's time the coalition learned to do the same." Dury joined them, holding up her research data. Our medical records show improved healing rates with individual care. Even by coalition standards, that's worth studying. The officer paused, their efficiency-driven mind struggling with this new data. Perhaps, the officer said slowly, a more detailed investigation is warranted. For efficiency purposes, of course. Erin's 3 eyes brightened. Of course. For efficiency. After the transmission ended, Han turned to Erin. You know they'll try to take you back eventually. Yes. Erin nodded. But now, I understand something worth fighting for. Something no efficiency rating can measure. And what's that? Ryu asked. The value of being treated as someone, not something. The coalition ship arrived 3 days later. It was larger than the station, its hull marked with perfect geometric patterns. 3 coalition officers transported directly into the station's main hall, their silver uniforms gleaming. We are here for Unit Erin, the lead officer announced. Resistance will reduce efficiency ratings. Han stood with Erin in the medical bay, watching through the security feed. You don't have to go. They will not understand refusal, Erin said quietly. The coalition never does. Ryu met the officers in the hall, standing tall despite being shorter than them. Welcome to Supply Station 7. I'm Commander Ryu. Designations are irrelevant. Produce Unit Erin. Dury stepped forward, holding her research tablet. Before that, you should review our medical findings. Erin's recovery rate exceeded coalition standards by. Irrelevant. The officer cut her off. Unit Erin has been contaminated by human inefficiency. They must be reprocessed. Reprocessed? Tai asked, his voice hard. You mean wiped clean? Reprogrammed? Correct. Their current thought patterns are corrupted. Han's voice came through the station speakers. You mean they've learned to think for themselves? The lead officer's 3 eyes turned to the ceiling. Medical Officer Han. You have interfered with coalition property. This reduces operational efficiency. No. Erin's voice rang out. They walked into the hall, head held high. I am not property. I am Erin. The coalition officer's efficiency monitors blinked rapidly, processing this statement. The lead officer stepped forward. You will return for reprocessing. I will not. Erin's voice was firm. I have learned something here. Something the coalition has forgotten. Explain. That life has value beyond numbers. That caring for each other makes us stronger, not weaker. Erin touched the geometric scars on their arm. These humans helped me when you abandoned me. They treated me as someone worth saving. The second officer spoke up. Our scans show your healing exceeded normal parameters. This is unexpected. Because they cared about me as an individual, Erin explained. Not just a unit to be measured. Han joined Erin, standing shoulder to shoulder. Your way isn't the only way. Maybe it's time for the coalition to learn that. The officers conferred quietly, their efficiency monitors blinking faster and faster. Finally, the lead officer turned back. This situation requires additional analysis. You mean you're curious? Dury said with a small smile. Curiosity isn't very efficient, is it? For the first time, the lead officer seemed uncertain. Perhaps there are factors we have not considered. Stay, Han said to the officers. Learn why we do things differently. Then decide if efficiency is really all that matters. The officers looked at each other again. Their efficiency monitors blinked one last time, then went dark. We will observe, the lead officer said. For research purposes. Erin's 3 eyes brightened. In that moment, they knew they had won something more important than any battle. They had planted the first seed of change in the Coalition's rigid mind. The Coalition officers watched everything at Supply Station 7. They followed Han during his medical rounds, studied Dury's research, and observed how the crew worked together. Your medical bay operates at 47% below Coalition standards, one officer noted. Han bandaged a crew member's cut finger. Maybe, but our patients heal better and stay healthier longer. Numbers don't tell the whole story. Erin helped explain things to their fellow coalition members. See how they check on each other. Not because it's efficient, but because they care. In the station's break room, Ty taught the officers to play cards. At first, they calculated odds and studied probabilities. But slowly, they learned to enjoy the game itself. This activity serves no clear purpose, an officer said, looking at their cards. That's the point, Ty replied. Fun doesn't need a purpose. The biggest change came when a crew member got hurt during maintenance. Without thinking, one of the coalition officers helped carry them to medical. Why did you assist? The lead officer asked. It was not your assigned task. They needed help, the officer answered, then paused, surprised by their own response. Dury's research proved what they were all seeing. She presented her findings to both human and coalition leaders over a video call. Individual care improves healing by 40%, she explained. Emergency response time is faster when people help each other freely. Even our efficiency numbers are better, just not in ways you measure. The coalition leaders struggled with this data. It went against everything they believed. Watch this, Han said, showing them security footage from the past week. Coalition officers playing cards with humans, helping with small tasks, learning to laugh. Your ways are inefficient, the lead officer admitted, but the results are better than you expected, Erin finished, because we're not just units to be measured, we're people. That evening, Han found the coalition officers in the medical bay, their efficiency monitors still dark. They were studying the human medical oath hanging on the wall. First, do no harm, one read aloud. This guides all your medical decisions. It's the foundation, Han explained. Sometimes the most important things can't be calculated. The lead officer turned to Han. We have sent our findings to Coalition Command. They are struggling to process this new data. Change isn't easy, Han said, but sometimes it's necessary. Erin joined them, looking at the medical oath. The Coalition has always valued progress. Perhaps it's time for a different kind of progress. The officers nodded slowly. Something was changing in the Coalition, one person at a time. And it all started because one human decided that compassion was more important than efficiency. Coalition High Command arrived in 3 massive ships. Their presence made Supply Station 7 look tiny in comparison. The station's crew watched nervously as the coalition leaders transported aboard. The High Commander's 3 eyes scanned the room. Their uniform displayed thousands of efficiency ratings, all perfect. This situation requires resolution. Han stood with Erin and the other coalition officers, who had removed their efficiency monitors completely. Commander Ryu stepped forward to meet the High Commander. Your officers have learned much here, Ryu said. They have been corrupted by inefficiency, the High Commander replied. No, one of the coalition officers spoke up. We have learned a better way. The High Commander's eyes narrowed. Explain. Dury brought up her research on the main screen. Medical care improves by 40% with individual attention. Emergency response is faster with voluntary help. Even your efficiency standards improve, just differently. Look at your officers, Han added. They're happier, healthier, and work better together. All because they stopped measuring everything and started caring. The High Commander watched as their officers played cards with humans during break time, helped carry supplies without being ordered, and treated injuries with genuine care. This is not our way, they said. Maybe your way needs to change, Erin replied. I was left behind because saving me wasn't efficient. These humans saved me anyway. Now I'm stronger than ever. The Coalition Medical Chief studied the data carefully. These results, they challenge our basic protocols. Change is hard, Han said, but staying the same can cost lives. The High Commander was quiet for a long time. Their efficiency monitors blinked rapidly, processing everything they had seen. Finally, they spoke. Perhaps efficiency is not the only measure of success. The word sent shockwaves through the coalition ships in orbit. No High Commander had ever said such a thing. We will, Review our medical protocols, they continued. Individual care will be tested in selected units. Erin stepped forward. Let me lead the first test unit. I can show them what I've learned here. The High Commander studied Erin closely. You are different now. Stronger. Not because of efficiency, but because of something else. Humanity, Han said simply. Yes, the High Commander agreed. Perhaps that is what we have been missing. 1 year later, Han stood in the observation deck of Supply Station 7, watching a new ship dock. Its silver hull bore both Coalition geometric patterns and human medical symbols. The CSS Han arrives on schedule, Tai announced, grinning at his friend. First Joint Human Coalition medical vessel. Erin stepped off the ship, now wearing the uniform of a Coalition medical commander. Their efficiency monitors were gone, replaced by a human medical insignia. Welcome back, Han said, greeting his former patient with a smile. The new protocols are working better than expected, Erin reported. Individual care has improved recovery rates across all Coalition medical facilities. Even the High Command can't argue with those results. Dury rushed in, carrying her latest research. The Coalition's change is spreading beyond just medical care. Their whole society is shifting. The screens showed Coalition crews playing card games during breaks, officers helping each other without orders, medical units saving everyone they could, no matter the efficiency ratings. We're here to start the next phase, Erin explained, training human and Coalition medical teams together. Commander Rio nodded approvingly. How many ships like this one are planned? 20 more under construction, Erin said, all named after human medical officers who showed us a better way. Han watched as human and Coalition medical staff walked off the ship together. Some Coalition members still wore efficiency monitors, but they were different now, measuring things like patient comfort and emotional well-being. Remember when you told me efficiency wasn't everything? Erin asked Han. Seems like a long time ago, Han replied. You were right. The Coalition needed to learn that lesson. Erin touched their old scars, now faded but still geometric. One person's compassion changed our entire culture. Later that day, Han taught a class of mixed human and Coalition medical students. On the wall hung two things, the human medical oath and a new Coalition medical directive. The Coalition text read, measure not just efficiency, but humanity. Save all who can be saved. Care for each life as if it were irreplaceable. For in caring for individuals, we strengthen the whole. As Han looked at his students, he saw the future, humans and Coalition members working together, combining the best of both cultures. All because one injured soldier was abandoned, and one human stepped forward to help. Some things, Han thought, were worth more than any efficiency rating could measure. And now, finally, the Coalition understood that too. The end.